right into things. This is courtesy of Sports Illustrated, where it says one surprise Browns cut to expect after OTAs. Okay. And here it says, even though the beginning, let me make that a little bit bigger. Even though the beginning of the 2026 NFL regular season, and with it, the official debut of the Cleveland Browns offensive line is still months away, there's already a lot of optimism floating in the air in regards to what the new look unit could bring. However, not everyone will benefit from these changes.
The Todd Monken era has officially arrived in Cleveland, and the new head coach is wasting absolutely zero time taking a sledgehammer to the roster built by the previous regime. If you thought the Browns were going to use the early days of OTAs simply to knock off the rust and evaluate the depth chart in a low-pressure environment, you are completely misreading the urgency inside that building. Monken has established a cutthroat, merit-based culture from day one, and he is already making swift adjustments, tearing down the untouchable status of recent high draft picks. The old guard is officially on notice. The practice reps are exposing the true depth chart, and a massive surprise cut is looming that proves no one is safe in Berea, Ohio. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now, because the decisions being made on the practice field today are going to dictate the entire future of this franchise.
One recent high draft pick could soon find himself on the outside looking in. So Browns are going to be making moves here. Here it says Zach Zinter, a third-round pick from the 2024 NFL Draft out of Michigan, might be the odd man out in the numbers game at guard. A 4-year starter at Ann Arbor, including shortened 2020 season. Zinter earned first-team All-American honors in 2023 when he was also voted captain for the eventual national champion, standing at 6'6", 310 pounds.
To understand the sheer ruthlessness of the current offensive overhaul, we have to look directly at the trenches. The Browns completely revamped their offensive line this offseason, and those aggressive acquisitions are about to force a very surprising, very painful casualty. According to recent reports breaking out of camp, third-round pick Zach Zinter is sitting directly on the chopping block and could be the odd man out in the numbers game at guard. When Cleveland drafted Zinter out of Michigan in 2024, the expectations were sky high. He was a 4-year starter, a team captain, and a first-team All-American for a national championship squad. He was heavily projected to be the immediate successor to franchise legends like Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio.
Zinter was picked in the third round of the 2024 NFL Draft with the 84th pick, their second player in the draft that year. He played 17 games as a rookie, including 3 starts, but very discreetly appeared in only 5 contests last year. Once held as a possible first rounder before suffering a fractured tibia and fibula in November of 2023 against Ohio State. Zinter just hasn't been unable to make a difference at the next level where he was once considered a potential successor to Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio. Okay. It says Teller moved on to Houston. And so basically, man, Zach Zinter has a chance to be removed. Now, we know the Browns completely revamped this offensive line with the likes of Zion Johnson and a bunch of moves they made in the offseason. And it looks like Zach Zinter may be on his way out.
But the reality of the NFL is incredibly unforgiving, and injuries change timelines in an instant. Zinter suffered a devastating fractured tibia and fibula against Ohio State right before he entered the league, and the brutal truth is that he has simply been unable to recapture his elite form at the professional level. He discreetly appeared in only 5 contests last season, and with the front office executing a massive overhaul, including bringing in high-level talent like Zion Johnson to fill the void left by Wyatt Teller's departure, Zinter's draft pedigree no longer protects him. Todd Monken needs offensive linemen who can execute his rapid, physical blocking schemes right now, today. He is not interested in waiting for a developmental project to get healthy when the AFC North is a literal war zone. If you cannot produce in the new system, you will be cut, regardless of what round you were drafted in. But that wasn't the whole story. While the offensive line is undergoing a ruthless purge, the absolute circus surrounding the quarterback room continues to dominate the national media landscape. The latest controversy involves Shedeur Sanders publicly stating that he wants to have a sit-down meeting with Todd Monken to discuss Shedeur as a coach, rather than just as a father. Naturally, the local media immediately tried to spin this as a toxic, daddy ball narrative, suggesting that Coach Prime is trying to actively interfere with the Browns' internal evaluation process. But when you strip away the manufactured outrage, the situation actually makes perfect logical sense. When you have the opportunity to sit down with a first-ballot Hall of Famer who has spent the last 2 decades meticulously coaching, developing, and analyzing the exact psychological triggers and physical mechanics of your rookie quarterback, you absolutely take that meeting. Todd Monken isn't a fragile, insecure coach who is intimidated by a massive personality walking into his facility. He is an elite offensive coordinator who understands that accumulating data on your players is the key to unlocking their ceiling. Having a conversation with Shedeur Sanders isn't about letting a father dictate the playbook. It is an invaluable opportunity to learn exactly what motivates Shedeur behind closed doors, how he responds to intense criticism, and what specific drills built his elite processing speed. It is high-level football intelligence sharing, and the media trying to frame it as a negative simply proves how desperate they are for drama. And speaking of manufactured drama, we need to completely clear the air regarding how the practice reps are currently being distributed during OTAs. The media has been quick to point out that the Browns are utilizing the two-spotting method, splitting the quarterbacks onto completely opposite sides of the practice facility. Immediately, the PTSD from last season kicked in, and fans assumed this was the exact same fake, staged competition that Kevin Stefanski ran to protect the highly paid veteran. But if you actually analyze who is standing on the far side of the field with Shedeur Sanders, the narrative completely flips. Shedeur isn't just throwing to a collection of undrafted free agents and practice squad bodies. He is actively taking his reps alongside the exact players the front office drafted to be the future of this offense. During those two-spot sessions, Shedeur is throwing to elite rookie playmakers like Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston, while top-tier offensive line prospect Spencer Fano is protecting his blind side. Todd Monken isn't just banishing Shedeur to the secondary field. He is actively isolating the young, explosive core of the roster and allowing them to build immediate, undeniable chemistry away from the veteran pressure. Monken is constructing the future of the Cleveland Browns offense in real time, completely insulated on the far side of the turf. However, the practice sessions haven't been entirely flawless, and Monken's infamous old-school temper has already made an appearance. During the highly competitive 7-on-7 drills, a period where there is absolutely no defensive pass rush and the quarterbacks are expected to be surgically precise, both Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel threw frustrating interceptions. According to beat reporter Ashley Bastock, Todd Monken addressed those specific turnovers very colorfully at the end of practice. When a coach explodes over a 7-on-7 interception, it proves that the standard is incredibly high and that mental processing errors will not be tolerated, even in May. On the flip side, Deshaun Watson managed to secure the highlight of the day during that exact same period, dropping a gorgeous 35-yard bomb right into the hands of Denzel Boston. The competition is incredibly fierce. The margin for error is practically non-existent, and the coaching staff is charting every single mistake. This intense, highly scrutinized environment is exactly why the Todd Monken hire was so desperately needed in Cleveland. The Kevin Stefanski era was defined by a frustrating lack of transparency. Stefanski would constantly issue vague, diplomatic statements that never aligned with his actual actions on the field, leaving the fan base entirely in the dark about who was actually winning the starting jobs. Monken is the absolute antithesis of that culture. He is a blunt, straight-shooting, no-nonsense football mind who does not care about feelings, contracts, or draft status. The Browns possess one of the youngest rosters in the entire NFL right now, and that specific demographic requires a leader who will hold them aggressively accountable in front of their peers. The structure of OTAs, the brutal honesty regarding turnovers, and the looming cuts on the offensive line are all massive indicators that the culture in Berea has fundamentally changed. The front office is no longer waiting for potential to develop. They are demanding immediate execution. If Shedeur Sanders wants the keys to the franchise, he is going to have to survive the gauntlet of a Todd Monken evaluation, and if Zach Zinter can't hold his ground in the trenches, he will be shown the door. Do you believe Todd Monken's ruthless, old-school approach is exactly what this young Browns roster needs to finally break through? Or will his aggressive style ultimately backfire with a modern locker room? Drop your most unfiltered takes in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you turn on the notification bell so you never miss the raw truth about this quarterback battle.